Hello, everyone. My name is Lawrence Gomez from Align to Grind, and this is the first podcast that I'm doing right now. And I brought my good friend Nicholas on board with me today. Nick and I, quick backstory: Nick and I met 2 years ago? Is it 2 years by now, or a year and a half? Year and a half, 2 years ago, at Upstart. I remember interviewing Nick for a role on a recruiting team, and he was amazing. So I gave him a big thumbs up, and then luckily he was able to join us. And we're not going to talk about what happened after that with Upstart, but here we are. And Nick has had an amazing journey with when I first met him, where he was at there, which was not the same person you're seeing right now, at least in looks. It's still him, but he's changed. He's done a lot of amazing work and has lost a lot of weight and improved his life and all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to bring him on here and have him kind of give his story and all the stuff he's learned and all that kind of good stuff. So let's dive in here. So I guess, Nick, if you want to give a quick intro, but I got a couple quick questions to hop into, but however we want to start, I guess, quick intro on yourself.
So my name's Nick. Nicholas Pierce is the last name. And it's been a very interesting year. A lot of surprises and a lot of really great stuff. And I'm just excited to share because I think there's a lot of good learning there that I can share and hopefully impart on your listeners, viewers, etc.
All the above.
All the above. Yes.
Definitely. Awesome. So I guess this is a first quick question. I guess probably won't be that quick, but first question is kind of diving more into the journey. So getting a little deeper into where were you when I first met you, and then where are you today?
Okay. So I would actually let's weight loss journey. Yes, that what it is. Weight loss was the impetus or what's kicked this journey off. That was the goal, but it has resulted in a much larger lifestyle change. So it started January 2023, the calendar year. I really wanted to feel better. Just that was a general feeling. I wanted to feel better about myself, to be able to support my family, my mental well-being, the whole bit. I've taken a lot in terms of, there had been a lot of growth already in terms of therapy and anxiety and depression and all of the mental health, but really taking that on. And there was a day, it was definitely after the holidays, so that's never a great time to look at yourself in the mirror, but I did. And I was starting the year, January, at my heaviest. I was at 250 pounds, and I'm 5'9", so that's big. All of my clothes were like extra large. My jeans were like 36, 38 at some, depending on the brand. Those brands that run small, fuck you. But as of this month, October 2023, I have lost over 65 pounds. I'm down like 18% body fat. I'm like at the point where I was before I went to college. Like I'm roughly around 185. I do have other goals to continue to drop a little bit more to get my body fat lower, but it has been wild year. And I guess the progression that it took was that I just started walking. I was like, I just need to get out of my house because, pandemic, working remotely, like it was really easy not to go anywhere or do anything. And I live in Austin, Texas. So in January, it's beautiful because it can get cold, but it's not like the north. So I was just like, let's just start walking. And I would take short walks just in the neighborhood. I live in hill country. You can argue about what a hill is, but whatever. It's hill country. And these walks then started to progress, and I was like, wow, I feel really good. I got fresh air, and I was energized for the day, and then proceeded to go to several walks a day, 2 walks a day. And then I was like, oh, I could set a goal. And I would worked with a friend of mine on setting a goal. I was like, I'm at 250 pounds. If I could get down to 200, like, I don't think I'm ever going to be like what I was in high school, but I was like, if I could just get down to 200, I know that's a long-term goal. Let's make this a long-term goal. I just remember thinking like it's not gonna happen overnight. There are no miracles. I was like, I'm in my 40s now. Like this is just wacky. Like this is not good. I want to live longer. I don't want to be burdened to my kids. And so I started tracking nutrition. I had goals for my daily intake and calorie deficit. And then all of a sudden I started running, which is not something I was used to. Like no. Then I added workouts with resistance bands because I had them. I bought them at the beginning of the pandemic, didn't use them until 3 years later. You know how you do. Summer rolled around. It was one of the hottest summers ever, but like started swimming instead of doing the running, doubled down on building muscle, added yoga, meditation for mindfulness. It was just
kind of snowballed more and more. And
yeah, it happened. And all of a sudden it didn't occur to me. Like I knew I was feeling better. I knew I was losing weight, but it didn't occur to me. Like people would be like, "Oh my God, you lost so much weight." I'm like, how did I look before?
Excuse me.
And then
not before.
all right. And then the picture that we posted on Instagram.
Show here in a second when we get all that post editing.
Yeah. The before and after. And I was just like, oh, yeah, okay. That's different. That's a big deal. So yeah.
Yep.
So that's what this year has been. It has been a fascinating year. Amazing, but fascinating. There's a lot that coincided with it too, for sure. So yeah.
Definitely. No, I love it. I love it. I mean, again, to lose that much weight, I mean, for my maximum where I was to where I got to was like 25 pounds ish. And to me, that was a lot, but not quite as much because I'm also tall. So 6'4". I never really looked that overweight. I just had like kind of a belly, beer belly, never, no definition kind of thing. But to lose, 65, 70 pounds is quite amazing. So again, big kudos to you. And I know you mentioned at first you were just kind of the goal was like, I just want to feel better. And it was a very big goal, which I think is great because it makes you just kind of like, let's just start trying things and not just so zoned into one thing. But what was kind of the bigger, if there was like something out like the tipping point where, years ago you were this weight, but didn't change?
Yeah. Like, so, I mean, the previous part was the fact that I had been finally in therapy and realizing and getting much needed help for mental health. That was a big point. And finally getting that under control was a big piece of it. And being able to look at myself in the mirror and see, and not just be depressed and upset and just cycle. And finally see, oh my God, I'm at 250 pounds. Mentally, I'm in a much better place. But this is the heaviest I've ever been. I can't move well. It was difficult to just put shoes on without, like, to put shoes on, I had to sit down and stand up and I would be out of breath. That was majorly problematic. I've been on high blood pressure medication for the better part of a decade, like at least almost a decade, 8 years, decade. I just didn't like what I was seeing. And I finally felt like I was in the mental place, not that I could do something about it. And I was like, all right, I just need to move. And I also felt like myself personally, like my personality, like I was just hidden under all of these extra layers of stuff. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to live well if I didn't make a change. So I guess that's really what happened. It was a new year. I was like, that's it. I can't keep doing the same thing. I just wanted to feel better. So yes. But I mean, I guess for you, like you said you wanted to make a change. So like, was there a tipping point for you? Like, I think everyone's got to have some sort of different tipping point to make a change.
Yep.
I don't want to say the New Year's resolution. I just
New year, new me.
Right. It just happened to coincide with the new year.
The stars were, Mercury's retrograde, so
Yeah. So I don't know, for you, what about, I don't know,
yeah,
what about you?
yeah. I think for me, it was kind of like things had kind of added up over time. Where again, I was always kind of generally in shape. Again, a lot of it because I'm tall, so I can like kind of be in shape. I played sports in high school, so kind of always kept a general level of shape, but never got past that like good shape. I was always like in like decent shape, but that's it. Anytime I'd started getting good, I would just fall off, eat bad, drink a lot, like, oh, I'm gonna take a break kind of thing. And that happened for many, many years. And I think kind of as you mentioned, and we'll get into the kind of more identity stuff later or in a second here, but there's like more to you than was being kind of let out. And again, that's can be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all that kind of stuff, right? And for me, I always kind of felt like there was more to me, but I just, for whatever reason, just wasn't able to kind of live that life and kind of step into that identity. And I guess the one part, the tipping point for us or for me, and I did it with my now fiance, is we went on a cruise with her family. It's always good to bring your family with you. Family and friends, come on board. And went on a cruise, and I'd never been on a cruise before. So first cruise, it was great for about 3 or 4 days, and then we both got sick. She got more sick than I did. So she actually had like lingering effects for like 2 weeks after we got back. Me, about a few days, but the last 2 days of the cruise were just miserable. And I remember being in a zone where I started to like slightly feel better. And on a cruise, everyone's drinking and up and doing things that kind of stuff. And I was like, I feel like I should be like drinking more because everyone else is drinking. And I remember being at the bar and having some beer and being just tasting it and being like, I literally like I despise myself right now for doing this, but at the same time, like I'll just get one more. Is this a weird? I was in a weird zone, and then getting back, and then actually getting like a little bit more sick, and then her getting really sick still. And we both looked at each other at one point. Was like, you know what? We need to change. And we had been again, we've been working out, doing like kind of CrossFit on and off before that, and like doing things that were seemingly good, but we were just not focusing on our nutrition at all. Weekends, we are just doing whatever we wanted. And so we got to that point where it's like, all right, things got to change. We both got really sick. This was miserable. Her more so than I. Was like, let's do something kind of a little bit more drastic. And that's when we did 75 Hard, which for those of you who don't know, 75 Hard is a 75-day challenge. It's much more of a mental toughness challenge, even though you end up losing a lot of weight and feeling the best you ever did. But it's all, a lot of it's mental. And so we did that and kind of like broke ground on a whole new version of us. And that got us to, it sounds weird, but I felt like I like reached this next level of the universe of like, wow, there's so much more out here that I can accomplish and I can do and like give to the world. And you can't really give much to the world if like you yourself aren't kind of in a better place. So like I got to a better place personally. I was like, man, I need to do more. Like I need to like I want to show people what I'm doing and like teach people that there's so much more to life when you are healthier. And again, I reached like a very high level of like pure health because it was a challenge. Now I'm not like I still have donuts now and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not in that same level, but at the same time, I got reaching that was like, whoa, my entire life I'd been like healthy, but not nearly where I thought not nearly what you could get to. And so that was kind of the 10 point for me or us. And then again, we kind of got the zone where we wanted to kind of like take this and teach people how to be healthier. And all of my family is overweight, or the one side is all overweight, obese, and many have died from obesity-related issues. And so I see it all around me, which a lot of us do. And it's like, man, I want to help change that. For the first time in my life, I wanted to not just like work out for myself, but like work out and eat better and do things better to provide people with kind of someone to look up to in certain senses, right? And like teach kind of thing. Absolutely. So I rambled on there, but yeah.
No, that's absolutely true. And I think for me, having two kids and doing a lot of this in view, I'm doing it in view, they can see me doing this, setting that example, because we have I have more, like, let's say, obesity genetic factors. Like it's very easy for me to get to that point. Like you mentioned, you're 6'4", I'm 5'9". Like I can't hide it.
Yeah, slight advantage over here, just a little bit.
It's like, but like, and when you're 6'4", you're right, you might weigh more, but it's spread out.
250 for me is a different 250 for you.
Absolutely, 100%. My dad is 6'4", but he is suffering, and we have very similar body types despite the fact that he is so tall. And so he just visited, and it was hard for me to see him
Yeah.
in his movements, and we're having some talks in
Yep.
the future for
I love
sure.
it.
But
I love it.
yeah.
Awesome. Now, same here. My dad is he's 5'11", but he's about now. I guess he's 262. I think last week he measured and sent me a scale. So he usually kind of goes from like 260 to 290, 300. He basically just yo-yos back and forth like a lot of people. Gets to the point he's like, I gotta stop. Gets down here, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Goes back up. So now I'm trying to help him build more sustainable habits that, you can eat real food and lose weight, not eat like shakes and crap weird stuff that they say is a diet and you don't like yourself. So he's also on a journey as well. So I love the, again, bringing the family, being in a place
Bring the
where
family along. Bring the
exactly,
family.
exactly. So now, yeah. So going into the kind of identity side of things, I know we kind of mentioned,
Yeah.
and in my mindset or my mind, like as you kind of mentioned too, a lot of this stuff involves like mentally overcoming some big battles internally, right? And there's a mindset and the mental side of things is a humongous topic. But I guess in terms of like the identity and that kind of thing, like how was your identity or something around that? Like how's it changed for you? I know you said there was you below all this stuff and you were able to kind of rip the layers off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's fascinating. Like, because I don't know if my identity changed so much as going through this process allowed my identity to be released or be on display.
shine through.
Yeah, shine through, whatever you want to call it. Like before, like being literally weighed down. Like I know that's a terrible pun, but weighed down.
Unintended.
Unintended. Like it's just I have more of the ability to be myself and almost forgetting who that was for a very long time. Like there's a big mental component and forget what that is. And so really on the discovery process of who that person is. And that's been really interesting. And so like now part of my, like, I'm far more confident in who I am and being okay with that, being okay to share that. All different parts. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. Deal is kind of what it is. I'm like, there's my interests and not, but like I also have the ability to have and maintain a positive outlook, and that is like definitely increased because I feel better, and I feel better about making goals, and they're realistic goals. They're not going to happen overnight, and so it takes a lot more discipline, and every day is working towards them and sticking to that discipline.
Mm-hmm.
I will say there is a big part of my identity now is identifying as someone who is athletic, which is not something that I have ever felt before.
Yep. Okay, there you go.
Yep. My buddy Kyle was like, "Look at you! You're doing 2-a-days," and I was like, "What? What are you talking about? I'm not an athlete. I don't do." Oh, yeah. I had to think about it because between my walking, my yoga, my working out, and stuff like that, I went, "Oh, right, yeah, I am." I am doing 2-a-days, aren't I? And then there was at one point my wife was just making comments. She was like, "It's really interesting and cool to watch you do yoga." Like I was doing it on the porch. It was a nice day outside. She was out there. She was watching, and she basically said, "Wow, I'm married to a super athletic guy now," and I'm like, "What?" That's a relatively new revelation. I think I'm still stuck in the like uncomfort zone of that change yet, but being capable of being athletic is interesting. But I think I don't like calling it ego because like
a negative connotation to it.
Yeah, there's some negative connotations there. Yes, but part of my identity has been like, no, I'm worth investing in. I have something to offer not only to my family, but to the world in general. Something like you were saying, like, no, I want to share this with the world. Like, yeah, I know my journey is not going to be exactly what other people experience, but I do think it will help and share. Like, there's a discovery process. It takes time. It's worth investing in if you are willing to give it the discipline it needs. and also incrementality. Like you cannot, I think the only reason it worked is because I just started out saying, I just want to go for a walk. I just want to feel better today than I did yesterday. And that's where it started. And I set a goal like, yeah, I want to lose weight, but I don't want to, I can't do it. I have to do it smart. And I know it's going to take time. So like, let's give myself a generous amount of time. I gave myself an initial 6 months and I hit it. And then I was like inspired to like keep going. I was like, cool. And now I'm like, what's the new goal?
Next.
So
Yep.
what's next? And
Yep.
it has certainly kickstarted a lot, but identity wise, yeah, it's really rediscovering and identifying who I am in many ways, and being in a heightened level of comfort as to where I am and who I am, which is interesting and rewarding. It's actually kind of a relief. Like it, again, lifting weights lifted, literally.
Literally. Yeah, literally it was the fat was what is being
all of it. Yes.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, I think it's like being able to kind of like get to the stage where you're able to push yourself for an extended amount of time towards a great direction, and what you learn along the way, to me, is like that's the power, right? It's not necessarily, oh, I want to be this amount of weight, or I want to lift this amount of pounds, whatever it is, or opposite, don't want to be this amount of pounds, whatever it is. But it's like what you learn and who you become along that journey, like that journey of self-discovery. To me, that like weight loss, and there's so many ways to discover more about yourself, right? Anytime you push yourself out of your comfort zone, you are going to be discovering new things about yourself. Personally, I think I'm so big on. Oh, sorry, go ahead. You know,
and there's that scientifically or chemically, there's the high with that discovery process. It's not, or it's a chicken and egg thing. When I say it's a lifestyle change, yeah, but I don't know. I can't say for sure if the weight loss is what caused it, or if it's a result of a greater life. Like you're gonna lose weight, yeah, but I also feel better about myself. Which came first? Like,
no, very true.
Yeah.
Very true. I wish I had answered that one too, like the chicken egg thing. But overall, it's like when you focus on also things you can control about your life, which a lot, again, there's so much going on in life right now, especially right this second, overseas and all that kind of stuff. That's very heartbreaking and that kind of thing. And so there's a lot of stuff we cannot control. And I think a lot of us, I know for me personally, I always lived in a world where I focus a lot on things I couldn't control, and it got a lot of my time. And it, because of that, and a lot of things you see on social media, on TV, whatever it is, not necessarily it's like negative, but it negatively affects you in some little way. Whether that's like
it sucks in your mental, it sucks in your mental time. Like if your mental energy was a currency or money, whatever you want to, that will suck it will clean that dry, and you do not have the emotional depths to work on anything else. So it's not that, so you can know about what's going on, and it takes a lot of work to know what's going on and choose to work on yourself, because that's the only thing you can't control.
Exactly.
Which, you hear all those things and you see all the memes. It's like, you can only control yourself, and you want to say, fuck you.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you're right. You can't control what's on TV.
There's a reason. There's a reason those are memes.
Yeah. Memes are popular things, and there's a reason it's popular, because it's most likely true. That's very true.
Exactly.
Yeah. So once you control the things you can't control, and you focus on that, which again is literally just yourself, what you eat, the things you do, your actions, your thoughts, you realize that it ends up like, I mean, again, to me, like kind of opened up a new level. I just call it like a new level of the world, but like a new level of the universe that you can operate on. You realize like there's so many more levels too. Like it's not just like, oh, wow, this is it. It's like, wait, there is so much more that I wasn't even capable of until now. I can see, like you mentioned, like you are someone worth investing in, and you are a capable person that can do more now. And it's like, well, how much more? Who knows?
Let's find out.
I'll be like, wait, I want that now. I want to be that person. I want to do more, right? So to me, that
Yeah,
is even more, you know. So
absolutely.
awesome. And then so I was looking at our question list over here too. We kind of already covered that, and I just realized I should have prepped this a little bit better next time. Question now. So if you were to go back
Oh,
to do this over again, what would
yeah.
you do differently, if I guess anything? What would you do differently?
So yes, there was a question list. For those watching,
Yeah.
there's a question list.
To the side, we have questions.
It's good that you prepare, otherwise I'd be really rambling, let's just say.
2.5 hours later.
We would have we'd still be on question one. This was a difficult one to think about. And so if I had to go back and do it all over again, I don't know if I would do anything differently. Mostly because if I look back, I was not mentally ready to commit to something like this before. I would not have been able to do it. And it would have been done for very different reasons. I often said, like, there was a time, in my early 20s that I would work out all the time, but I didn't have my current responsibilities. I didn't have my current maturity. It was pure vanity.
Yep.
We do it. I'm not apologizing for it. That's just what it was.
Yep.
But I approached this life style, the weight loss, with more patience, as an investment of time in myself. It was not immediate, was not quick, but it was nice to see, because time when you're older does go faster. It feels like it goes faster. You're like, oh, I was like, holy shit, I've changed. So I don't know if I would go back and do things differently, because it worked. It has been working, and I continue to explore and understand, like, oh, there are things that I can do. But I do want to share something that I believe is worth considering, or worth knowing, that despite all the great progress and self-improvement, self-healing that throughout this year, there was most definitely an aspect of grief and anger that comes along with that. I went through it. I was extraordinarily angry that I didn't start this process sooner. Like, I grieved all the time that I wasted and feeling like a failure before, whether myself, in my career, or what have you. This is important. And I have a phenomenal therapist who has helped me with this and continues to do. And it's perfectly natural to feel these feelings. In fact, I'd be very surprised if you did not. Change is tremendously hard, whether it's a choice or it's forced. Easier when it's a choice, for sure. But for anyone who does consider a lifestyle change, or knows that they have to make a change to feel better and don't know what it is, they just have to start, there are going to be extraordinarily painful pieces that come along with that. You're going to have to deal with them, part of this process. And in my personal opinion, part of the things that has come out for is that I have such higher levels of compassion. Part of my identity is like having higher levels of compassion and love for that, and for other people. I give my kids a whole lot more leeway. Like, I have a lot more patience. Not as much, still not great. I'm not a patient person, but I have a much larger grace period, or level of grace and a level of compassion for my kids who are 5 and 7. They do not understand. Like, I cannot expect them to understand with a logic. There are plenty of people who are not in a great place, or who have to share, who have to vent, and who have to feel like they are doing terrible things, but you have to have a level of compassion for them. And the one thing my therapist said was like, yeah, you can have that for other people, but you need to also have that for yourself. And I'm like, but I don't feel that. And he's like, no, your past self. I was like, your past self did not have the same level of awareness that you do now. You cannot judge. You will. Let's try not to judge your past self against the same lens that you have now, perspective. And so cut yourself some slack, give yourself a break. If you so going back, like you can't, like, you don't know what the impetus is going to be. You don't necessarily know. Can I pinpoint what the tipping point was? Close, but
Yeah.
it, like, at some point something switched in my head and was like, I need to make a change. And I knew enough at that point that a change is going to take time and it's going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to take incremental steps. And part of that is going to be dealing with the negative side of things. You cannot feel great without feeling negative about something. There is a balance there. So you just have to deal with that, I guess.
Yep. No, definitely. And I think the part about the framing, the perspective, I think that's very key. Because I know I probably maybe didn't go quite as hard on myself or look back as hard on myself. Again, I was different, right? But there are things that I look back and it's like kind of somewhere of why did I do that? But it's like, yes, now I know that, but back then I was just a young kid and kind of young and dumb. So,
but yeah, and you make the best decision
with
what the information you have at the time.
Yep. 100%. And at the end of the day, because I like my answer would be the same thing of like, I really wouldn't change anything because even though, yes, you can look back and be like, oh, well, yeah, I'd do this differently or I wouldn't do this, but doing all that is why you are here and where you are right now. So as much as it sucks in a lot of ways, it's like, but it's what made me. And again, getting to a point now where like you can love yourself more, have more compassion for yourself and all the above, I think it requires you to have that background where you're like, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to. You have
to. 100%. You mentioned your relationship with your kids is better, more compatible. You have a little more patience, a little bit more, and I'm assuming in many other ways is also improved. You have more energy. You mentioned also it sounds like you're with your wife. She's seeing a new light of this. Slightly different husband. I'm not gonna say you're complete change, but you're an athletic husband and that kind of thing. What other effects have this weight loss had?
I definitely rediscovered my sense of humor. Like, I didn't realize it was missing for a long time.
You're always very dry and it's not very funny.
No, anyways, it's funny. I just like I just didn't voice it. Now I voice it. Other aspects of my life. Relationship with people is much better. I'm much more present. I'm so much more present with my wife for sure. We have better conversations. I feel more stable. I feel more balanced. So it's like we're able to work together really, really well. I mean, I'm very lucky. We have, like, my wife and I are great partners and great compliments to each other. So there's that. But I think also I definitely was someone who suffered from emotional eating, and that definitely changed because just because I feel much better control about it now. So it's like, oh, this is what it's like to feel full instead of feeling like I need to fill an empty void with food. There's that. I think I mentioned, like, the compassion piece is like having a lot more compassion for people around me. I don't hate myself, so I'm able to show love and compassion for others. That's an interesting thing. Hating myself, like, that was something it was hard to admit during this process, like realizing that there was a past part of me that hated myself. And actually now, looking at myself in the mirror, I'm like, it's a new feeling, like, oh, I actually feel attractive. Like, actually feel attractive.
Yeah.
That's fun. Again, not trying to be I'm not trying to feel egotistical and vain, but there's a difference when you're confident and you feel confident and attractive. Like, it translates. We all know it. We all see it. We all feel it.
100%, 1,000%.
I'm able to put my shoes on without losing my breath.
Getting a workout from shoes on.
Yeah, like, that was a big deal. I was like, oh, I can still move. I can breathe. I can tie my shoes without losing it. Yes, here we are. Are our dreams are so small. But
It's the simple things in life that really give us.
a big one. This was a wildly unexpected one. As I mentioned, I have been on blood pressure medication for a very long time now. There are many genetic components to that, like predispositions to heart stuff. I knew that. I've been on it for a long time. I take very good care of it, but there was a period of time where I was getting dizzy, like low blood pressure at the dentist office. No one has low blood pressure at the dentist office, to the point where my doctor was like, oh, well, you've lost 40 pounds at this point. When he finally saw me, he's like, so yeah, we're going to take you off blood pressure medicine. And I was like, what? I honest to God thought I would be on this for the rest of my life. And I was perfectly comfortable with that. I was perfectly ready to just be like, this is what I need to do to maintain this.
Yep.
And I have completely dropped one, and I've cut the other one in half, to the point where I might be able to drop that one eventually too. That wild. That would be the big asterisk. I was like, was unexpected. There we are. This whole complete career change. I know we've talked about this, but like, it has inspired me to do this complete career change. I am currently getting certified for personal training, nutrition, other things. I do want to help others in their wellness goals. If you would asked me 2 years ago, if I ever wanted to own my own business or be entrepreneurial, and I would have said, absolutely not. I do not want that stress. Now I actually have ideas about my own business, and I want to do it. And it's not even that I think I can do it. I know I can do it. I'm perfectly capable of doing it. It's just, it's going to take work. And I'm comfortable like setting those goals, but because I can also set much stronger boundaries now. And I know where those are. And I'm willing to experiment and take a risk. And if something doesn't, giving it the time necessary to try, and if it doesn't work, okay, that's a learning moment. Like, I have tried things that did not work in this journey, and it's not a failure, it's just a learning moment. That's huge. In the past, I would have thought I was a failure, and I would have like spiraled out of control. It would have been another like years before I tried something else again. I don't know. For you, I'm curious. Your ask what?
Yeah, I'll say one thing I want to ask more about, because this is something that I experienced as well. And since you said it, I'm like, I'm trying to think in my mind while you're talking, like, why it happen to me? But you said that like a year or two ago, starting your own business, being entrepreneurial would have been like a hell no. Whereas now you're like, yeah, let's do it. I want to do something, right?
Yeah.
What do you think? Like, why do you think that is? What do you think changed? Like confidence? Your
confidence, but also knowing that I was able to accomplish something and it's valuable. I know it's valuable. I know there's a need. There's like, and coming from the approach of individuality is being able to say like, all right, like you collect your people. Like, you're one of my, there's a number of people I've collected that we all have the things that we are focusing on or interested in and come at from a certain perspective. And there have been plenty of times where I've thought that this was the issue and this is what I'm going to do to fix it. And I will talk with you. I will talk with my buddy Kyle. I'll talk with other people and be like, get different takes on it. Perspectives that I don't always know or have not always thought of, because that's not how my brain works. And being like, willing to consider an alternative, not willing to write it off completely and just have to consider it. So I think being entrepreneurial means that there's ideas there. Being comfortable knowing that here's something creative. Creativity is not a new idea. It's making new associations. It's ideas and connecting different ideas, because we see the connection, we see those connections and sharing it. Maybe this is part of this discovery process, but being able to say, hey, here is another viewpoint that might trigger inspiration for someone else. And so I think that confidence, being able to being willing to share discovering my core drivers, though, that was another one that happened during this process. You said, why entrepreneurial? I'm like, well, okay. I was posed a question, if like you had to do a percentage of your life and break it down, like how would you break that down? And at the time, recruiting, they were like, is recruiting? And I immediately was like, no. I was like, I've been recruiting for a decade. Why is, wait a second. Wait, hold on. What has changed? And no, but going deeper and understanding my core drivers and understanding that this life, that fitness or wellness in general, is a new calling to be willing to share with the world in some sort of way. My core drivers are community, building community. So like, yes, I collect people, I bring people together, building connection, community, connection. I have no problem reaching out. And sometimes it makes other people uncomfortable because they might not be okay with that. And reaching out to people to start a conversation. I have no problem with that. Was I always 100% confident in my ability to do that? No, it took practice. And yeah, and part of it takes practice. You have to do it to get better at it. So yeah, but that's still a core driver. I want to know about people and individuals. People as a whole, no. Individuals, let's be very clear. Comedy, love it. And cooking, nutrition, cooking, food. Ironically, all C's did not set out that way, but those are my core drivers. And
that's funny.
But yeah, I think the click was, there's something of value here. That, and my journey can help others, and others have said, oh, you've inspired me. And I'm like, oh,
whoa, what?
What? Me? Okay, let's keep going. And yeah, I feel like my journey is no longer about me anymore. It's not about something bigger. It's contributing to something bigger. And that's the part that's the part that I'm entering now. Like, yes, weight loss was part of it, but I'm entering a part where it's like, nope, this is a greater calling. And that might not happen for everybody. Like, they might just get better and continue to do their lives better. Great. That is amazing. But for me, it was a bigger change.
Yep. 100%. I agree 100% with like the feeling where you start seeing that like this can be part of something bigger. And it's not, again, there's more memes about that too. It's like, oh, when you get to something that's bigger than yourself, then you realize more about life. There's a lot of stuff I've heard from professionals and coaches and that kind of thing that talk about, be a part of something bigger than yourself. But I think for a lot of us, it's very hard. I know my entire life was, all I could kind of see past was, or could see to was like, this is my job and like, this is what I do. And this is what I could grow to. And it could make some money, but like, what else am I going to do really? Like what can be my impact in the world? This experience of health and whatnot, even though I've always been working out, I've always been kind of athletic and playing sports, never ever thought about like, wait, what if I can teach and show people a path, just a path, right? Based on what I've done in my struggles. Because again, we all have different struggles. We all have different backgrounds. And the goal is still kind of relatively the same of like, get healthier, be more, get better, kind of all that kind of thing. But we all have a different background how we got there. And so there's people that have these similar paths though, that could really be inspired by each of our paths. And so getting to that point where like, wait a second, like I can do something with this, kind of like you said, is to me was like a very enlightening moment. And really kind of, again, part of that like leveling up in life, that to me, that's part of like some of that next level of getting to that realization. So yeah, it's big. Because the other things for me are like increasing confidence, like you said, and just feeling more capable after going through a hard situation that a lot of people struggle with. Again, there's a lot of different struggles in the world. You got to pick your heart kind of thing, but your health, your fitness, the way you feel about yourself, those are some really deep rooted struggles that can sound kind of on the top, like, oh, yeah, you just, okay, you have a nice body, or, you eat, okay, but what? But there's like so much deeper that there's so many layers to peel back there, and especially how to get there, that I think is well worth the journey of discovering kind of who you are, what you can do. So
you will uncover some deeper things. Like, it's
Yeah.
going to, and it's because there's like you lose weight, but yeah, but there's a lot of trauma built
Yeah.
up in there.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Like, you will unpack some things.
Yeah.
So
There's a reason why, yeah. I mean, mental, my whole thing was like, the weight loss is much more mental than it is physical. And again, the mental thing is so big, but as you've talked about too, is there's so much more there that like, yes, you can go to the gym and you can, start moving your body more, but once you start getting to the mental side of stuff, it's like, whoa, all right, this is deep. And then it only just gets deeper, right? But then you learn so much about yourself and you keep growing. And to me, that's like the real progress when you start seeing life through a different lens. It's like, whoa. So
yeah, and actually, it's funny because like there will be moments where you might realize something about yourself, and the one thing I will say is like you may not always like it. You may
yeah,
not always like what you find out,
yeah,
but it's at least a step towards acceptance. And quite frankly, I had to deal with the fact that, oh, I really am a vain person. Like, there is a not I wouldn't I maybe say that kiddingly, but it's like, no, there is an element of vanity there. Like, I have to acknowledge that.
mhm,
And I also have to watch that. I also have to watch that through this whole journey, that it was like that there is an addictive personality. Like, I know I have one. I have to be very careful around drinking wine. I have to be very careful around other things, because I can go very deep very quickly. Luckily, I don't have a problem
mhm.
as of right now. But if I am not aware of it, it could lead to something, and I
Yeah,
don't want it to. So I'm like very, very early, like early stages. I'm not like eliminating things wholly, but like very cognizant of the fact that this could go off the rails really easily if I'm not in control. And
yeah,
so keeping myself in check.
mhm,
Um, I also think that whatever your journey is, and I think you might agree with this, is like, because you did this with your fiance, you have to have a core. You have to have someone to keep accountable to. You
mhm,
need a group. You need a community.
mhm.
Now, you did yours with your fiance. I did not do mine with my wife, because even she would like, we are wonderfully compatible,
Mhm.
but we also let each other off the hook about things really easily, because that's what
Very
we do.
good.
We enable each other. We enable each other. We love each other. We enable each other. So I needed someone outside. I
Mhm.
personally believe you need someone other than your partner,
Significant. Yeah.
a significant other. You need a crew. You need a crew. You need someone to help, to check in with, to talk things through. And I have several people in this group, and that group continues to grow, and that community continue to grow. And you very rarely, I think, will someone find that if they're about to make a change, that they can do it alone.
Yeah.
Like, just acknowledge that you need at the very least someone to check in with and talk things through, be it a therapist, be it a coach, be it just a friend, someone who help keep you accountable. I think that's a big piece of it as well.
Yep. No, 100%. 100%. And also looking back too is like, I wouldn't want to go through it alone either. So as much as like there are people unfortunately that probably that do this alone because it's them against whatever it is, their situation. But like at the end of the day, life is better when you do these things with someone. And even again, even if it's just someone to hold you accountable, you're still able to share. Like we are a social species, we're social beings. Like we need other people. Life is not life is not in a silo, and so
Absolutely,
um
absolutely do. Yeah.
100%. Well, just to wrap it up here, kind of final question. And sorry if I hope I'm not saying things too early on. Oh, you already talked about you doing the certifications, all that. So, people can assume. But with what you're building and all that kind of thing, what is like the message or messages that you are trying to share with the world?
Hmm. That your well-being is absolutely worthwhile. Number one. It is wellness is possible.
Mhm.
It requires work, even for the happiest of people. It requires work, and it will take time, and it will take an investment of time, and it is worthwhile to do so. It is worthwhile to prioritize this over other things. Now, like, I'm just talking about grand scheme, not day to day. Like, there are times where I can't work out because I have to take my kids to school. Like, there are
Kid.
like, or when they're sick, you're like, yeah, they're homesick. Like, you cannot do certain things.
Yeah, yeah.
But in general, making yourself a priority is worthwhile because the overarching effects will have exponentially far reaching positive effects by doing that and making sure that you are working on yourself, being the best version of yourself, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
is worth going for. Now, I think it's also the message that I want to send is like the difference between your well-being and wellness. Like, the connotation is for wellness is mental health. Is that absolutely important? Absolutely. But that is not the only thing. Your well-being requires the full 360 of your physical, nutrition, emotional health, your friend group, be like the
Relationship, yeah.
social well-being, financial, like all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Take into account all of those pieces. Wellness is the actual activities you do to get there. There is no magic wand. I really hate saying this. I cannot believe it. There's no magic wand. There is no magic pill. You literally have to put in an effort. The happiness and your well-being, positive well-being, excuse me, is not the baseline. That is actually something you have to work for and then continue to work to maintain. The other thing, the other message I would want to send out to the world is this. Just because something is working for you today does not mean in a month that that will be working. You will have to explore other things. It will be extraordinarily frustrating when the thing that you have been working on stops working. It's like raising a child. Something that worked today will not work tomorrow because they will have changed their minds.
Yeah, yeah.
Your body will do the same thing. Your mind will do the same thing. It's going to require something new. And that is okay. And that's actually really exciting. The exploration is really exciting. And just because it doesn't work right now, like, prime example is me biking. Like, I don't want to bike. I have a standing bike. I don't want to do it. But I do know at some point in the future, going out and running is not going to do the same because I thought swimming was going to be it for like ever.
And all be all, yeah.
And I was like, after a while, it plateaued. And I was just like, well, what now? And then I actually started running and I was like, why am I'm 5, 6 miles? I could barely do half a mile a year and a half ago, a year ago. Now I can do 6 miles in an hour. And I was like, what just happened? So I can't say biking is never going to be my thing because maybe it will strike something new and it will be something new. But like, be okay to take that exploration.
Yep.
I think those are all pieces of the same puzzle. But it's a to go back to bad metaphors, it's a three-dimensional puzzle. it's not two-dimensional. And also, like, you're gonna have a lot of feelings about this. Like,
Oh yeah.
just it's gonna be a roller coaster. Like,
Yeah, it's gonna be a roller coaster. So get ready for the ride. But
and I think, but if you're going to make the decision to do something, go into it eyes wide open. If you want to do weight loss, if you want to make a lifestyle change, like, it's going to take work, know that it's going to take work. Some things will come easier than others. The effort that you put in might have greater effects right now than what you will in the future. And that's okay. And that's all to be expected. And there will be surprises. But that's why you have people to like talk to. That's the general message, is that like, you're not alone. Let's do something. Let's discover something. You as a person will have to just go through your own discovery. Just because I've gone through it, I can tell you these things, but it's not, but at some point something will trigger, and seek out different opinions. But anyone who tries to sell you a supplement as something magical,
Sorry to say, it's not magical.
walk away. Now, go to a doctor and find out if you have iron deficiency. Sure. But like,
yeah, two different things. Yeah.
Those are two different things. Get the science behind it. You might find out you have something that is affecting your weight, like an actual deficiency. Take care of that too. Like this, I think we could argue say we are not therapists. We are not doctors. This is all other things being equal. Things take work, and invest in it. And anything worth having will take work. Like, that's just what it is. Unfortunately, it does take work.
We wish it would be different. We wish there was an easy road. I'm not saying there are easier paths, but
also, I think maybe this is just like, just because someone it's impossible not to compare yourself to other people. It's impossible. Like, you're going to, but try to enter it and be like, oh, this person is 6'4" and can lose 25 pounds and be jacked, Lawrence. I'm 5'9". It's going to take a lot more for me to get my six-pack. I don't want my six-pack. Well, I do, but I don't. Like, there's a whole. I have conflicting.
Next podcast episode.
But like, would it be nice? Yeah. Is it required?
Is it a requirement? No.
No, absolutely not. Not for me to feel as good as I do. Like, so right, there you are.
100%. No, I love it. I love it. Well, we share a lot of the same beliefs, pretty much, probably every single one, to be honest, is at different backgrounds how we got here. So I think it's definitely the prioritizing yourself, and which comes a lot with prioritizing your health and how you move your body, what you put into your body, what you think about, who you give to the world, I think is only increased when you prioritize yourself. And the whole like selfishness and you should be selfless, not selfish. Like, I think there is a bit of selfishness there when it comes to prioritizing yourself, but in a good way, because you are able to better yourself and give a better person to the world.
I think maybe better thinking about it as an investment. So it's sort of like people like, there's this whole trend, like there's a whole lot more everyday people investing in the stock market now, we have to, because 401ks and pensions are a thing of the past, basically. We have to, if we're going to be able to retire and stuff like that. So like, think about, like, you're going to invest your money in different places. There are things you can be riskier on. There's things that you want to see steady growth on, and you will have greater returns if you invest in yourself. You will be able to do more when you invest in yourself.
100%.
Is that selfish? Yes. But it's a balance. Like, you're investing in yourself to be able to be better for others.
Exactly.
Now, if you're being selfish just to be selfish, go eat.
You're an asshole. That's just an asshole.
Go eat your chocolate bar and whatever. Go away. I personally want to be able to invest in myself so that I can be better for the greater,
positively improve people around me. Yes.
But that has required actually saying no and making stronger boundaries and meaning some things I cannot do right now, which that was hard to step back from. There's some things that I stepped away from that I didn't really want to, but if I didn't, I would not have been able to. I would not have been able to continue to support my family and the things that I wanted to do as priorities. And so, yeah, that is something that will happen, and we will all be faced with. So yeah, that happens. Be okay. Happen. Just be prepared mentally to make it.
100%. 100%. Sounds good, man. Well, that is all for this first episode. I'm sure Nick and I would continue to have conversations, but hopefully come back again and have a future conversations.
Yes.
And we have a
About
group
other things.
So, yes.
All right.
A lot of recruiters that we know are also into the fitness and health realm. So we'll be doing some more collaboration on that respect. But yeah, thank you all for joining, and we will see you next time.